The Crystal Tower Hotel glittered like a jewel against Karachi's skyline, a place where power, politics, and wealth blended into one. Inside, the chandeliers shimmered like galaxies, illuminating a hall filled with business tycoons, ministers, and men who believed they controlled the world. But billionaire Aris Shah walked through them like a ghost. People whispered as he passed. "That's him, the youngest billionaire CEO in Pakistan. He built Shah Enterprises from nothing after his parents died. So cold, so serious, no one's ever seen him smile." They were partly right. Aris carried a darkness inside him so heavy that no success could lift it. 15 years ago, a house fire had taken everything from him, his parents and, worst of all, his 7-year-old little sister, Alina. The police had never found her body. They said the flames had destroyed everything. But Aris had never accepted that. Every night, he still saw her small hand slipping from his grip, her scream swallowed by smoke. He had spent years blaming himself. Years imagining the life she could have lived. Years hoping that somehow, she had survived. Tonight was supposed to be about a business deal, a merger worth billions. But Aris felt restless, preoccupied. Something tugged at him the moment he entered the hotel, like the universe was whispering that his life was about to change. A waitress approached with a tray. "Sir, lemon water." He reached out, not looking. Then he froze. His eyes lifted, slow, disbelieving, stunned, and met hers. A young woman stood before him, her hair tied in a messy bun, shadows under her eyes, her uniform slightly oversized. But her face, her eyes, something about her hit him with the force of a bullet. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked softly. Aris's throat went dry, her voice, her posture, the way her fingers trembled as she shifted the tray. It was like looking at a ghost wearing human skin. And then he saw it. A thin, crescent-shaped scar along her right collarbone. Barely visible, but unmistakable. His vision blurred. That scar belonged to Alina. He remembered everything. They had been playing outside. She had fallen from her bicycle. The metal had cut her skin. She had cried so much that day, and he had carried her home on his back. He himself had placed a band-aid on that wound. Your name," he whispered. The girl blinked, unsure why the CEO looked like he'd seen a spirit. "Alia, sir." "Alia, Alina, a difference of one letter." "Did you always live in Karachi?" he pressed, voice trembling. She hesitated. "No, I grew up somewhere else." "Somewhere else." His pulse hammered. "You don't remember your early childhood?" he asked quietly. Her face stiffened. Something in her eyes, fear, confusion, shame, rose, then disappeared. "I don't remember much before age 8, she admitted. "The orphanage said I was found after a fire." Aris stopped breathing. Fire, orphanage, lost memories, scar, no family. His fingers shook as he ran a hand through his hair. "Which orphanage?" She stepped back. "Why are you asking me these things?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. He wanted to say, "Because you look like the child I lost. Because you feel like family. Because I have searched for you for 15 years. But he couldn't throw that weight on her. Not yet. His assistant tugged his arm. "Sir, the investors are waiting inside." "Cancel the meeting," Aris said sharply. The room went silent. Staff, executives, even guests stared. His assistant stuttered. "Sir, this deal is..." "I said cancel everything." He turned back to the girl. "Alia," he said softly, "please. Can I speak with you privately?" She glanced around nervously. This was her job. She couldn't risk losing it. But something in his voice, something raw, almost broken, made her nod. Aris led her to a quiet hallway near the service elevators. She clutched her tray like a shield. "What do you want from me, sir?" He exhaled shakily. I need to ask you a few things." She frowned. "About what?" "About your childhood." Her eyes dropped to the floor. "I don't like talking about it." "I understand," he said gently. "But I need to." A long pause stretched between them before he whispered, "My sister, she had a scar just like yours." She stiffened. "So, many people have scars. But the details," he whispered. "The location, the shape, it's identical." Alia took a tiny step back, her body growing tense. "You're making me uncomfortable, sir." Aris's chest tightened. The last thing he wanted was to scare her. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I lost my sister in a fire." "When you said you came from an orphanage because of a fire." She swallowed hard. "I don't remember the fire. I just have flashes. Heat, smoke, Someone calling my name. Then nothing. His heart cracked in half. Flashes. Smoke. A name being called. He remembered calling her name too, screaming it until his lungs bled. Alia, he whispered, voice breaking. Do you know any lullabies? Something from your childhood? She blinked rapidly, emotions flickering across her face like a storm. There's a tune I sometimes hum. The orphanage said I must have made it up. Can you hum it? He asked, barely breathing. I don't remember it clearly, she whispered. But her voice trembled. Aries saw her lie. She remembered. She just didn't trust him. Before he could speak again, the hotel manager stormed in. Alia, what are you doing here? You have tables to serve. She lowered her head. Sir. The manager cut her off. Do you know how many mistakes she's made this week, sir? She's late on rent, her landlord keeps calling. Stop exposing my personal life. Alia snapped, her eyes burning with humiliation. Aries' jaw clenched. You will not speak to her like that. She's my employee. Not anymore, Aries said coldly. She's coming with me. Alia looked horrified. No, you can't just. I don't need anyone to rescue me. Her voice cracked at the end. Those words pierced Aries deeper than any accusation ever had. She turned and walked away, her steps shaky but determined. And just like 15 years ago, Aries watched someone he loved slip away from him. But this time, he would not stop. He would not give up. He would not lose her again. Whatever it took, he would find the truth. And he would bring his sister home. The next 48 hours were a blur of tension, fear, and desperation. Aries Shah, billionaire CEO, a man who could buy entire companies in a day, found himself doing something much harder. Chasing the truth about a girl who might be his sister. He barely slept, barely ate. His entire focus was on uncovering every detail about Alia, the girl whose scar had cracked open 15 years of buried grief. He sent his investigators, but he also personally went through every file, every witness, every hospital record from the night of the fire. He retraced every step the authorities once ignored. The more he uncovered, the more his chest tightened. Alia had grown up in a run-down government orphanage. Her papers were incomplete. Her earliest memory was fire and a voice calling her name. She had no family, no real childhood, no safety. And worse, she worked double shifts at the hotel to afford a small room in a decaying building. Her landlord harassed her for rent she couldn't pay. Her salary was deducted unfairly for the smallest mistakes. She was living a life full of struggle. A life that should never have touched someone like his Alina. Guilt consumed him like poison. He had been rich, powerful, and resourceful for years. Yet the whole time, Alia had been out there, alone, suffering. The thought tortured him. The finding. Finally, on the second night, he found her. She was sitting on the steps outside her tiny rented house, hugging her knees to her chest. The streetlight above her flickered, casting shadows on her tired face. Her shoulders trembled as if she had been crying for hours. Aries approached quietly. His footsteps echoed on the empty street. You're following me again, she whispered without looking up. Her voice was exhausted, not angry, just defeated. Aries sat on the step beside her, leaving a respectful distance. I needed to make sure you're safe. She let out a humorless laugh. People like me are never safe. People like you, he repeated. She looked at him with eyes that carried years of pain. People with no family, no money, no identity, no one who would look for them if they disappeared. He clenched his jaw. I'm looking for you. She stared at him for a long moment. He saw suspicion, fear, and something even deeper, hope, a dangerous kind of hope she didn't want to feel. You think I'm your sister, she whispered. I don't think, he said softly. I feel it, everything matches. The scar, the fire, the timeline, even your mannerisms. You laugh like her. You fidget like her. You even tilt your head the way she did when she didn't understand something. Her eyes glistened. And what if it's all a coincidence? She asked, voice shaking. What if I'm not her? Will you still help me? Or will I become a stranger again? Aries' heart twisted painfully. I will help you, he said firmly. Not because you might be my sister, but because you deserve a life better than this. Everyone does. She turned away, covering her face as tears slipped down her cheeks. A long silence stretched between them. Only the hum of the streetlight filled the air. Finally, she whispered, what if the truth breaks me? Aries looked at her gently. What if the truth heals you? She closed her eyes. After a long moment, she nodded. Fine, let's do the DNA test. The test. They went to a private clinic. The staff handled everything discreetly. A simple swab, a few signatures. But the waiting was torture. Aries sat in the clinic corridor with his face in his hands, fighting the urge to tear the world apart. His heart pounded with every possible scenario. If she wasn't Alina, he would lose her. He would lose the closest thing to hope he had in years. If she was Alina, he would get his family back. But he would also have to face the guilt of failing her. And what about Alia? What would this truth mean for her? A girl who never had anything, would she suddenly have a family? A home, a brother she didn't even remember. The wait felt like a lifetime. The result. 2 days later, the results arrived. Aries opened the envelope with trembling hands. His vision blurred as his eyes ran over the lines of text. He blinked hard, unable to breathe. Inside him, something cracked open. Something old, buried, frozen forever in fire and memory. His eyes filled with tears. He looked up. Alia was sitting across from him, hands clenched tightly, terrified. "Well," she whispered. "What does it say?" He walked toward her slowly, the paper shaking in his hand. "It says," his voice broke, "you're my sister." Her breath hitched. She stood abruptly, covering her mouth with both hands. No, I can't be," she cried. How is this real?" Aries cupped her face gently, something he hadn't done in 15 years. "Alina, you survived. You lived. You're here," she sobbed. Loud, heartbreaking sobs, as she fell against him. He wrapped his arms around her tightly, holding her like he would never let go again. "I thought I was alone," she cried into his chest. "I thought nobody wanted me." "You were never alone," he whispered. "I searched for you every day. Every moment. I just didn't look in the right places. But I swear, I will never let you go again." She held onto him with trembling hands, as if afraid the world would snatch him away. "I remember the fire," she said between sobs. "I remember calling your name, but no one came." His heart shattered. "I came. I swear I did. But the smoke was too thick. I lost you. I lost everything." She leaned her forehead against his chest. "You found me now." "Yes," he said, voice shaking. "And I'm never losing you again." Epilogue. A new beginning. Life didn't change overnight. It changed in ways deeper, softer, more powerful than money or luxury could ever provide. Aries moved his sister into his home, a home she filled with warmth it had never known. She enrolled in art school, the dream she had never dared to say out loud. Aries visited her classes, proudly watching her draw. She scribbled everywhere, in notebooks, on napkins, even on the glass windows of his office when she was bored. He laughed, the first real laugh in years. Slowly, pain turned into healing. A family shattered by tragedy was finally whole again. And everyone who saw them knew one thing. Sometimes fate breaks you, just to give you back what you lost in a more beautiful way.